ever felt like your achievements are just a lucky streak, and any moment now, everyone will realise you're actually faking it with no real idea what you're doing? If so, welcome to the Imposter Syndrome Club. But what if I told you that 2 millennia ago, there were people who would have simply scoffed at such worries? Today, we'll examine imposter syndrome through the eyes of the Stoics and discover why their philosophy offers a potent antidote to this modern epidemic of self-doubt. Brace yourself. Some of their insights might just fundamentally change how you see yourself. So, let's break this down from the start. Imposter syndrome isn't a disease. It's a recognized psychological phenomenon. It's that nagging internal conviction that you don't truly deserve your success. You credit your accomplishments to sheer luck rather than your actual abilities, and you live in constant dread of being exposed as a fraud. Now let's transport ourselves back to ancient Greece and Rome. That's where Stoicism emerged, a philosophy embraced by everyone, from the enslaved Epictetus to the emperor Marcus Aurelius himself. Its core principle is simple: live in harmony with reason and nature, focusing solely on what lies within our control. And it's precisely in this seemingly simple rule that the secret to their profound mental well-being was found. Here's the first, and arguably most powerful, Stoic challenge to your imposter syndrome. It's the profound concept of the dichotomy of control. Imagine everything in the world divided into 2 distinct, imaginary boxes. Into the first, you place what is entirely within your power: your thoughts, your choices, your actions, and the effort you invest. This is your personal sphere of influence. The second box holds everything else: your boss's opinion, the public's reaction to your work, whether your project wins an award, or even if you're understood correctly. These are external factors entirely outside your control. Imposter syndrome, you see, almost exclusively thrives in this second box. It feeds on your fear of what others might think. What if they discover I'm incompetent? Or, what if they don't appreciate my work? A Stoic hearing this would pose a simple question. Why concern yourself with that if you've truly done everything within your power? Take, for example, a programmer who fears his colleagues' judgment. Writing the code was within his control. Their judgment, however, is not. Instead of tormenting himself, a Stoic would focus on the facts. I completed the task. I'm open to constructive criticism to improve. And that's it. His self-worth doesn't hinge on external verdicts. Do you see? You're expending an enormous amount of energy trying to manage what simply isn't yours to control. The Stoics, quite simply, suggest you stop. All right, so we've got the control aspect covered. But what about the feelings themselves? The ones that literally paralyze you? Here's where the Stoics offer their next powerful lesson. It's about focusing on actions, not emotions. Think about it. Imposter syndrome is a true quagmire of emotions. The fear of being exposed, the anxiety before a new task, the shame for perceived mistakes. You find yourself drowning in these overwhelming sensations. A Stoic, however, proposes a simple yet profound shift. Evaluate yourself not by what you feel, but by what you actually do. Ask yourself honest questions. Did you write the report? Yes. Did you complete the project? Yes. Did you deliver the presentation? Yes. This is the reality. These are the facts, your actions, and your feelings about it. Fear, insecurity, the nagging thought, I could have done better. These are just ripples on the surface. It's noise in your head that doesn't change the fundamental truth of your accomplishments. For a Stoic, the goal isn't to feel competent, but to be competent through daily, methodical actions. This frees you from the endless, exhausting chase for that elusive feeling of worthiness. You simply do your work. And that, for a Stoic, is more than enough. Now let's talk about the imposter's core fuel: praise and criticism. Someone with imposter syndrome lives on an emotional roller coaster. They desperately crave praise because, for a moment, it silences their inner critic and offers a fleeting sense of relief. And they dread criticism, for to them, it's not just feedback, but a final verdict. It's the very exposure they've both anticipated and feared. Your self-worth becomes held hostage by the words of others. But what about a Stoic? Their perspective is entirely different. For them, both praise and criticism are externals. This doesn't mean they don't care. It means these outside events do not define their intrinsic value. Is it pleasant to be praised? Of course. But does it truly make you a better person? No. Is it unpleasant to be criticised? Absolutely. But does it make you worse as a human being? Not at all. To a Stoic, only truth matters. If the criticism is valid, excellent, it's a free lesson and an opportunity for growth. If the criticism is unfair or malicious, then why should that mere informational noise bother your mind? You are the one who gives others' words their power. A Stoic simply doesn't grant them that authority. What about the imposter's favourite excuse? That magic word, luck. You finish a challenging project and instead of feeling proud, your first thought is, I just got lucky. The stars aligned. It's as if you won the lottery instead of earning a well-deserved reward for your hard work. By doing this, you immediately absolve yourself of responsibility for your success, because if it was just luck, then it's impossible to replicate. A Stoic, like Seneca, would merely chuckle at such a statement. He would argue that luck is simply the point where your preparation meets opportunity. Think about it. You were in the right place at the right time because you put in the immense effort to get there. You landed that position because you dedicated years to studying and learning. You found the solution because you spent hours, if not days, contemplating the problem. To dismiss all that hard work as blind luck isn't modesty. From a Stoic perspective, it's a form of self-deception, a refusal to acknowledge cause and effect and take ownership of your efforts. You're not merely lucky, you are the product of your work. Let's talk about a toxic habit that often fuels imposter syndrome, constantly comparing ourselves to others. You scroll through social media and see picture-perfect career paths, the polished facades of others' successes, and dazzling achievements from your colleagues. Against this backdrop, your own accomplishments might seem to pale in comparison. You start measuring your journey by someone else's yardstick, and naturally you'll always come up short, because you're comparing your behind-the-scenes daily grind with someone else's carefully curated highlight reel. A Stoic, however, would tell you the only person you should compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. Are you a little wiser today? A little more disciplined? A little braver? These are the only questions that truly matter. Your path is unique with its own challenges, its own pace, and its own terrain. Trying to keep up with someone else's curated image is like trying to chase a shadow cast by someone else's plane. It's an utterly pointless and exhausting endeavour that drains your energy and robs you of the joy of your own progress. Stay focused on your own path. That's the only one that truly counts. And here we meet the imposter's best friend, perfectionism. It's the voice that whispers things like, "Don't even begin until you're absolutely ready." "This isn't good enough. It needs to be completely redone." Or, "If you can't do it perfectly, why bother at all?" But lurking beneath these seemingly high standards is simply fear. Fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. Ultimately, you either endlessly procrastinate or you burn yourself out trying to achieve an impossible ideal. The Stoics, on the other hand, were absolute pragmatists. While they pursued the highest goal, virtue, they fully understood that human nature is inherently imperfect. Their guiding principle wasn't achieve perfection, but do the best you can, right here, right now, with the resources available to you. For a Stoic, waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect outcome is merely an elegant form of cowardice, disguised as high principles. What matters isn't flawless execution, but the action itself. An imperfect step forward is always better than standing still, waiting for a miracle. This brings us to one of Stoicism's most beautiful and potent ideas, the concept of the inner citadel. Imagine your mind, your very consciousness, as an impregnable fortress. It's your personal sanctuary, where no outside opinion, no hurtful criticism, no stinging remark can penetrate without your express permission. So what then is imposter syndrome in this context? It's quite simple. It's when you don't just leave your fortress gates open, you throw them wide, roll out the red carpet and personally invite the enemy, the thought, I'm not good enough, to march right in and take over. You willingly hand over power to this destructive idea. A Stoic, on the other hand, is a vigilant guard at these gates. He doesn't blindly trust every thought that tries to enter. He stops it, subjects it to rigorous interrogation, asking 3 key questions. First, is this thought true? Second, is this thought helpful to me? And third, is this thought within my control? If the answer to even one of these questions is no, the thought is denied entry. It remains outside. You remain the master of your fortress. But what about the ultimate monster, the fear of failure? For someone battling imposter syndrome, any setback feels like an absolute catastrophe, a botched project, a missed promotion, a single misstep. And suddenly, it all feels like the ultimate downfall. It's conclusive proof that they're a fraud, and now everyone has finally seen through their act. Each such failure chips away at their already fragile self-esteem, cementing their belief in their own worthlessness. But for a Stoic, failure simply doesn't exist in that conventional sense. Not at all. In their view, the only true failure lies in one thing: acting against virtue, meaning to compromise your principles, succumb to cowardice, lie or betray, losing a project, money, a position, or even your reputation. These aren't failures. They are simply external adversities, events that occur but have no bearing on your true self or your character. For a Stoic, the real failure is to never even attempt something out of fear. Inaction born of cowardice, that is the sole genuine defeat. Everything else, that's just life experience. Let's shift our perspective. How do you view challenges? Do you see them as roadblocks, punishments, or proof of your own inadequacy? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who endured slavery and knew hardship intimately, taught his students to view the world as a vast training ground. Every problem, every setback, every challenge isn't an enemy. It's a sparring partner, sent by fate, specifically to train your mental muscles. Feeling like an imposter after landing that new, more responsible role? Perfect. That's your personal gym for building confidence and acquiring new skills. Doubting your ability to tackle a challenging project? Fantastic. That's an opportunity to hone your courage, discipline, and perseverance. Every doubt, every anxious thought isn't a cause for panic, but an invitation to action. It's a chance to put reason, logic, and philosophy into practice. You're not a victim of circumstances. You're an athlete of the spirit in the gym called life. Now let's explore the most powerful Stoic tool for putting our problems into perspective, the practice of memento mori, which literally means remember death. Sounds a bit grim, doesn't it? But in reality, it's one of the most profoundly life-affirming principles there is. The Stoics, particularly figures like Marcus Aurelius, constantly reminded themselves of life's finite nature, not to wallow in despair, but to gain clarity and strip away everything that didn't truly matter. Just pause for a moment and consider this, against the backdrop of infinite eternity and your own inevitable end. How much real significance do your current worries hold? That fear of not seeming smart enough in a meeting? That pang of anxiety over a critical comment on social media? This practice functions as an incredibly powerful mental filter. It instantly sifts out petty concerns and trivial anxieties, leaving only what truly matters. How you're living today, whether you're staying true to your principles, and if you're striving to become a better person. Is it truly worth spending the precious, finite hours of your one life, agonizing over what some random stranger might think of you? For a Stoic, the answer is unequivocally clear. Let's delve deeper and uncover the true foundation of your self-worth. For someone struggling with imposter syndrome, validation always comes from the outside. They crave that diploma on the wall, the impressive title on a business card, praise from their boss, or even a simple like on a social media post. Each of these external markers acts like a temporary crutch, offering a fleeting sense of stability. But remove that crutch, and they immediately tumble back into the chasm of self-doubt. Their sense of self-worth is entirely dictated by external factors. A Stoic, on the other hand, builds their self-esteem on an entirely different foundation. They find their value from within. Their self-respect isn't rooted in what they possess, but in who they are, in their character, their choices, their virtues. They don't ask, "What have I achieved?" Instead, they reflect. Did I act justly today? Did I demonstrate courage? Was I honest? It's like tapping into an internal, inexhaustible power source, rather than constantly scrambling to find an external outlet. This kind of self-worth is immune to fleeting trends, public opinion, or changing circumstances. It is uniquely yours. Now let's examine your work and life from a fresh perspective, through the lens of the Stoic metaphor of the stage. The Stoics believed that life is a grand play, written by fate or nature, and we are merely actors within it. Each of us is assigned a specific role. Today you might play the role of a specialist, tomorrow that of a parent, and the day after, a friend. Your task as an actor is not to argue with the script, nor to try and play someone else's part. Instead, your job is to perform your own role to the very best of your ability. Someone experiencing imposter syndrome constantly fears they are fake, merely pretending to be an expert. A Stoic, however, would say, yes, you are playing a role. We all are. There's no deception in that. The key question isn't whether you're a real specialist, but whether you play that role with dignity and responsibility. Instead of agonizing over your authenticity, simply focus on performing your duties well. Be a good actor on the stage of life. That is more than enough. What does a mistake mean to you? If you're like most people battling imposter syndrome, then any error, no matter how small, feels like an absolute catastrophe. It's undeniable proof of your incompetence, that very slip-up you always feared. A mistake becomes an excuse for self-flagellation, reinforcing the belief that you're a fraud. You replay it over and over in your mind, allowing it to poison your confidence. Stoics, however, view mistakes with the cold pragmatism of a surgeon. For them, an error isn't a trigger for emotion, but simply valuable information. It's data for analysis. What went wrong? Why did it happen? What lesson can I extract from this to avoid repeating it in the future? A mistake isn't a condemnation. It's a roadmap indicating where you need to adjust your course. It says nothing about your personality or your worth. It merely suggests that your approach in that specific instance wasn't optimal. And that's it. It's just feedback from reality. Foolish to ignore, and even more foolish to take personally. Let's try a simple mental exercise, one the Stoics practiced often. It's a shift in focus powered by gratitude. Imposter syndrome constantly draws your focus to what you perceive as lacking, a lack of knowledge, experience, confidence, talent. Your mind fixates on these perceived shortcomings, and that's what fuels your anxiety. The Stoic, however, offers a complete 180-degree shift. Instead of dwelling on what you don't have, consciously reflect on what you already possess. Got that job? Don't spend time wondering if you truly deserve it. Be grateful for the opportunity and channel your energy into excelling at your responsibilities. Facing a tough challenge? Don't panic about a perceived lack of competence. Instead, be grateful for the challenge itself, as it's an opportunity to grow. Gratitude isn't merely positive thinking. It's a powerful tool that pulls you out of the mire of future anxieties, anchors you firmly in the present moment, and shifts your focus from perceived deficiencies to genuine opportunities. So let's ask ourselves a fundamental question. What does the word success truly mean to you? For someone grappling with imposter syndrome, success is almost invariably an external construct. It's a high-ranking position, a hefty salary, recognition from peers, awards, likes, and applause. The problem, however, is that all of this, as we've already discussed, lies beyond your complete control. And chasing this kind of success quickly turns into an endless source of stress. The Stoics, on the other hand, offer a radically different, even revolutionary definition of success. For them, success is an exclusively internal state, A truly successful individual, according to them, is someone who lives in harmony with reason and their core principles. One who does the right thing even when no one is watching. One who maintains composure and clarity of mind in the face of any adversity. This, in their view, is what true success looks like. Or eudaimonia, a state of human flourishing. You could be a world-renowned genius, yet be profoundly unhappy and enslaved by others' opinions. Or you could be a simple artisan, honestly doing your work, and achieve the highest form of genuine well-being. The choice ultimately is yours. Let's try a little thought experiment, one that the Stoics were particularly fond of. This technique is called negative visualization, or sometimes premeditation of evils. It sounds a bit intimidating, but it's actually a powerful antidote to fear. Right now, you're likely grappling with the fear of exposure. Your biggest fear is that everyone will find out you're an imposter. Okay, let's not run from it. Instead, let's look it straight in the eye. Picture this in vivid detail. Your worst nightmare has come true. You've been exposed. What's the absolute worst that could happen? Will you be fired? Will your project be ripped to shreds? Will colleagues laugh behind your back? Mentally play out this scenario to its absolute conclusion. Then ask yourself the vital question: can I handle this? Can I survive this? And in 99% of cases, the honest answer you'll find is yes. Yes, it will be unpleasant. Yes, it will be difficult. But it won't kill you. You'll find a new job. You'll start a new project. You'll weather the mockery. By understanding your capability to survive even the worst imaginable scenario, you strip fear of its paralyzing power. It transforms from a terrifying monster into merely an unpleasant, but entirely manageable peace problem. Consider where you're truly investing your energy. Are you focused on appearing smarter or becoming smarter? Someone with imposter syndrome often expends an enormous amount of energy maintaining a facade. They're afraid to ask questions, fearing they'll look foolish. They avoid challenging tasks to prevent making mistakes. Instead of actually becoming competent, they focus on appearing that way. All their energy goes into crafting a resume, an image, a mere external shell. The Stoics, however, urge us to focus on something entirely different. They teach us to cultivate not a resume, but virtue within ourselves. They highlighted 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, the ability to make sound judgments; courage, the ability to act rightly despite fear; justice, fairness and integrity towards oneself and others; and temperance, self-discipline and control over one's desires. When you commit yourself daily to becoming a little more courageous, a little more just, a little more wise, you simply won't have time to worry about whether you appear intelligent enough in the eyes of others. You'll be busy with the real work, building your character. Ultimately, we arrive at the Stoics' most profound and liberating conclusion, one that utterly dismantles imposter syndrome at its very core. Here it is: you are not your thoughts, and you are not your feelings. What you are is your capacity to choose how you respond to them. Just consider this: the thought that whispers in your mind, "I'm an imposter, I'm fooling everyone," is simply a thought. It's nothing more than a collection of words, an electrical impulse in your brain. It doesn't become an objective truth or fact until you actively choose to believe it and make it part of your identity. Imagine your thoughts are clouds drifting across the sky of your consciousness. Some are bright and pleasant, others dark and ominous, like the imposter thought itself. You are not these clouds. You are the sky. You are the vast space in which they appear and disappear. A Stoic doesn't wrestle with these dark clouds, nor does he try to dispel them. He simply observes them, acknowledges their presence, and allows them to drift by, without clinging to them. You can simply notice the "I'm an imposter" thought, say to it, "Oh, it's you again," and quietly get back to your task. The choice, whether to believe it or not, is always yours. And this is where we reach the crux of the matter, a profound shift in perspective. Imposter syndrome tricks us into believing the problem lies within ourselves, a lack of knowledge, talent, or confidence. But the Stoics would argue, the issue isn't with you, But with your value system, you're simply betting on the wrong horse. You're seeking validation in the external world, in others' opinions, status, or praise. That's like building a house on sand during a storm. It's unstable and entirely out of your control. Stoicism, on the other hand, suggests moving that foundation inward, into your capacity to think rationally, act virtuously, and accept reality as it is. Now, that's a game changer. The battle isn't against insecurity itself, but against the false notion that others' opinions define your worth. Once you grasp this, imposter syndrome loses all its power. It simply won't be able to find a foothold in your mind. So, the key takeaway from the ancient Stoics is simple. Stop trying to feel worthy and start acting with integrity. Focus on your actions, your character, and that tiny yet powerful space you truly can control, your own mind. Thanks for sticking with me until the end of this video. If these ancient ideas got you thinking about modern challenges, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Now, a question for you. Which Stoic principle do you find to be the most powerful weapon against imposter syndrome? Share your thoughts in the comments below